Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to the Handmade Bookmakery. I'm here with you to share my November monthly mini journal. This is the 12th of a series of 12 journals that I started last December. And I challenged myself to make a really simple pamphlet stitch notebook every month with 14 pages, 28 sides. So roughly one page for each day of the month, although that's not in any way how I fill them up. And this is the very last one, and I've got a plan in the works to make a longer video talking about the whole project and how that's gone over the last year. But this was the last one, and I started the month with a great whoosh of enthusiasm. I bought a set of digital eco prints from Tailor Made Journals on Etsy, and they are the most beautiful eco prints in slightly purpley tones, and they've really been the sort of jumping off point for the whole of this journal this month. So the cover is covered with one of those eco prints. Then I've got a tiny bit of collage with some slow stitched fabric collage here, which is really yummy, and some stained loose weaved muslin cloth. This is some linen. Some of these, there's some stained paper in there, and I'm really pleased with the cover. This is my favourite simple closure with an eyelet, a piece of leather cord, and I just wrap around twice and tie a little knot here, and I find that as a simple closure really works well for me. The back is just plain pretty much, but what I have done here along the back edge is I've punched out holes all the way along, and I've woven through a bit of really shabby, worn linen cloth. It's from some bed linen, and tied it in a knot off at the top. So lots of yummy frayed bits. This has turned out to be quite a grungy journal, and I've really enjoyed making it. So inside to the first page, I have some vintage ledger here. A bit of slow stitching, so this is just a bit of bed linen with a piece of sari silk flattened out, and then I've used some crochet thread to just do seed stitch all over there, and this is actually open here. Hold on, open here. Yes, so you could slip something in there. This is a piece of stained, torn off edge of paper from my scraps box, which I made into a messy ruffle and then put a stitch on each one. And the signature cover is again one of those I printed the eco prints from Tailor Made Journals onto ivory parchment paper, which I get here in the UK from Ryman's. Then we've got vintage ledger here, making a bit of a belly band. So a stained tag made from an index card, and I was inspired by Alison Bomber, who is Words and Pictures on Instagram, with her splotchy distress ink techniques to try and recreate that. And this was my very first attempt, and it's in my journal for this month. This is a scan from this really cool set of vintage card dominoes, and this is the box, and I've just scanned that and sized it to make a little journaling card there. So these journals become a record of sort of creatively where I've been that month a lot of the time. This is something I wanted to try. This was something I had bought. I don't write very much in my journals, but they still remind me of the time and what I was doing, what I was making, and how I was feeling. So on this side, we've got a little journaling card I made from some labels that I have, and a bit of grungy collage with a vintage stamp there from the Netherlands. This is page from vintage school science book. Then we have some a bit of grungy collage here with some slow stitch linen, some very distressed paper, tiny bits from the eco prints, bit of vintage music paper. This page is from a vintage shorthand book. And on this page, I'm obsessed with leaves. I love leaves in many shapes and forms. And I've been using this leaf to jelly print with. And then I saw somebody on Instagram whose name I cannot recall now had stitched onto real leaves, and I was like, I need to do that. So I have stitched down here. I've stitched a piece of sari silk on here in green with this is all embroidery thread. And this is tea stained glassine paper, which I've just collaged over that shorthand book. And then here I've got slightly weird arrangement, you'll see when I turn the page. I've got some fabric collage, some jelly printed masking tape that I've made, a vintage label cutout, and I've got a slow stitched piece here which is just stapled here and here, so you could actually slip something in. Oh look, that staple hasn't gone through. And some slow stitching of a bit of old bandaging there. You'll see this continues over the page, and the reason it's like that is it's too long and I didn't want to cut it up and I wanted it to be in this journal. So this is a piece of old calico and a piece of tea stained sort of bandage which I've shredded apart and then used seed stitches in 2 different shades to anchor it down in different places. Here I've got a tea stained glassine envelope, a vintage label, and some little shreds from the eco print digital kit. Here is a little journaling card. You'll see a few of these throughout with just sort of winter tree branchy things, and I was trying to get some purple shades in there to go with the rest of the journal, so that's just sitting in there. This side of the page I've got the rusty paper clip, a little envelope here, and this is a real dried leaf which I've collaged down with napkin layers, and that idea comes from Agnes Ruby's studio, and she's here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I saw her doing this with some lavender, I think it was, and I thought I have to do that. This page here was a piece of rust stained paper, and apart from putting this bit of rust stained gauze on the edge here, I haven't been able to bring myself to do anything else because I just really love the patterning on this paper. And you can still see where I'd put salt on something to make it rust more. And I just love it. I just love it. It's grungy and gorgeous and stained, and yeah. So underneath there, I've got another collaged leaf that flips, and this flips up. I've got a collage on the back here with some rust stains, some of the eco print digital, and some sari silk that's just glued down. That's a little bit of a William Morris pattern, collaged onto this little flip over, and another one of those branchy journaling cards. Then I've hinged this on here with these are just sticker sheets, label sheets that you put in the printer, but I've jelly printed onto them. So I've 2 of those there. Another one of those tree journaling cards, which I think really echoes this stenciling here on the other side of the page. So I decided to keep that one simple. The centre of the signature is another one of Lorna's beautiful eco prints, and here I've used some of that really scraggly gauze that I tea stained to stitch around into sort of a flower, done some stitching in the middle which may or may not be my attempts at French knots. I'm not even sure I was trying to do French knots, to be honest. And then I've made a little tabby thing here with paper and linen that goes over the page with a bit of cross stitching. Collage using a bit of eco prints. And then this side here is the stamp is a handmade stamp that I designed and made myself. Some sari silk going over the edge of this page here and going into this collage, which has some vintage US stamps. Again, I was trying to use purple. It's not a colour I use very often. More of my gauze, some tea stained cotton, little snippet of splotchy distress inked paper, more of my natural linen fabric, which I've had for years because I was going to make some curtains and I never did, but I've nearly run out now. These are just reproduced vintage tickets, bit of jelly printed paper there, and this is a piece of this is modern lace in this sort of beigey colour, browny sort of, it's got a purplish undertone, I think, and that's been covered with matte medium because it's shiny and I don't like that shiny modern look, so it's stiff. It feels a bit weird, I think, but I prefer it like that. Then here we've got some more collage. I slow stitched around the edge of a card here, and then added some paper down the side, going all the way down here, and here we've got a little bit of stenciling and just a tiny little simple cluster up in the corner. Coming towards the end now. Here I've got another one of those distress inked tags, a bit of stenciling behind, and again a little slow stitch snippet on there, which is just me playing around with scraps really. These are just bundles of threads that had come off when I was ripping fabric, and I've just slow stitched them down on top. Here, really simple collage with another vintage stamp, tea stained bingo card, that's a modern bingo card, or paper I think, and a bit more of that tea stained glassine there. Then this page is more of that eco print and a little slow stitched snippet there with a bit of lace on top using different fabrics, and this is like a piece of really weird kind of mesh that was on a garment that I bought at the charity shop. Back page, no, not quite. Here we go, there's another belt. You can see that this is from this science book, this biology book, and it's not the one I had at school, but it's the same edition that I had at school, which when I saw it I was like, I have to have that. I remember that book so well from my lessons. So a little bit more grungy collage here with some tea stain paper, bits of hole reinforcer, a vintage ticket I found in this purplish tone, another splotchy distress inked tag with a vintage paper belly band, a bit more eco print, and then the back page here I've made this torn pocket from this is a vintage book end paper, another slow stitch snippet. I've really been enjoying the slow stitching this month, and here in the back pocket is this grungy torn tag. Again, it's from that same old end paper that had come out of some book or other. I've slow stitched. I've got some rust print. This rust print comes from Bobbins, yeah, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. It didn't quite go as I expected. It's been a really difficult and strange month, not just because of what's going on in the world with the coronavirus pandemic, but also in my own family. So I found there were 2 weeks in the middle of the month where I was unable to work in my journal or to work particularly creatively, because I had so much on my mind. And normally I can find a rhythm in working in these personal journals and kind of get away from things, and collaging in particular is an activity which I find really kind of meditative and soothing and aiding mindfulness, but this month I really struggled for about 2 weeks. And in that time I did other things. I started sewing like traditional book blocks, kettle stitched bound blocks to then be covered afterwards with whatever cover, and sort of have ended up making loads of plain books and using up bits of leather that I've had lying around for years. So I've done other things, but I got really stuck in the sort of artistic creation rather than the sort of construction side of things. And then slowly, as the dust around what's been going on in my family started to settle, I found I was able to get back in the rhythm. But it was a weird hiatus in this very last of 12 journals, which yeah, because I'd really found a rhythm with them, and then this month on the very last one it all went a bit weird. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed looking at that. Please forgive any video skills. I am not an expert and I'm very new to this. I didn't say how big it was, so I will just tell you how big it was. It is nearly 15 centimetres, so it's about 14.5 centimetres, 5 3/4 inches by about 10 centimetres or 4 inches. There you go, and that's the same size as all 12 of the journals that I've made. If you are here, thank you for watching. Please do give me a like or a comment, and you can also find me on Instagram as handmade_bookmakery. Bye.